Hello, welcome to Top of the World. Today we're working on the sawmill. So on the sawmill already, I've got a large birch cant. Now I cut up all them birches from the church last year, which are now inside, and they're all at 2 or 3 inch slabs. I'm actually going to quarter saw it into inch boards, and then that should give me the birch that I need for the furniture and joinery works I'm going to do inside. What I do have is I have some shorter, smaller pine cants. You see how much this gadget I've got in my hand, this amazing selfie stick, is heavy. It's not small, it's not a light one. It's changing the way that we film. Right, so up above me there, you see I've got some smaller pine. There's maybe a fir one in there as well, some smaller cants. So I want to take those down. I want to get those cut up so I can get them inside, but I don't have to cut them too small because I can put them through in the bandsaw inside the factory. So we want to get that done today. I'm waiting on some pipe work before I can continue with the plumbing works I'm doing inside. Yeah. So the first thing, what the saw blade that's on the sawmill, I actually hit a nail, another one. Oh, things in trees. Do you know, it used to be bullets. I don't know if I told the story of the fire, I'm sure I did. Anyway, so it used to be bullets and shrapnel in hardwood trees coming from Ivory Coast, Cameroon, all these type of places. Here, I've hit railroad nails, nails. It's more kind of domesticated stuff that you find. And this has come from the church. Now this had a few pins and stuff in it, but they're not allowed to put big stuff, so I'm quite happy. So the blade that's in there at the moment, that hit a nail a couple of, I don't know, weeks ago, and I have sharpened it twice in fact, but it's still got a bad tooth on it, and I want to cut these cleaner. So did I get a new blade out yet? I've got a brand new blade there. The first thing we're going to do is fit that. This blade's been sat on there for a week or so, and as you're supposed to, the tension is off. When you leave a blade on a bandsaw like this that works via tension, take the tension off and then you won't stretch the blade. Is the tension off enough for the blade to slide off? Yes, it is. So it's still a good blade. I just want a better blade for this birch cant. I'm just going to clean. See these brushes here, I've done this on another video. I put these in. These are my own. This is actually a shoe shine brush cut in half, and then I use some brackets and put them in, and this improves the wheels clean dramatically. I'm sure the later model now has them. The other thing the later model has, which I really like, is the ability to be able to tighten this belt, the drive belt, without having to move the engine, because it is a real pain in the backside when you adjust the engine to get it square. It's always quite a big moment putting a new blade on. It's not something I do lightly. Although it's something I have to do more often than I would like. If that makes any sense. Right, so what I do is I put it on roughly where I think it needs to be, and what I don't do is spin it before I start to put it under tension, because it won't do what you want it to do. And then I have my torque wrench here set at the manufacturer's recommended tension. I still haven't spun the wheels. There we go. Now what this should do is straighten it so where it should set. And then I'll check the bearings on the back of the guides to see if we're hard up against the bearings or see whether they're still set right. Then what I'll do is I'll start it up, warm it up and run it before I start cutting anything flat out and make sure the blade stays where it should do. Then we'll check it again. I know the Sawmill's quite new and they use the Collier engine, gasoline Collier engine on this. It just starts. First time, every time it just starts. And I opted for the electric start on this just because it's easy. Anyway, have I had to charge the battery? No. Has it ever not started? No. Does it sit out here in -30 all through the winter? Yes, it does. I don't like that, but it does. And then in the spring, it just starts up again. Anyway, like I say, it is new. It doesn't have too many hours on it, this saw. I don't know what I've got into it now. Well, I've done the first oil change. There's maybe 200 or 300 hours on it. Just awesome. Anyway, it'll be warm enough now. We'll run that up and check that everything's as it should be. After you've done that, when you come back to check it, turn the engine off, boys and girls. I think we're good to go. Okay, so the idea is quartz on. Let me show you. My plan of attack for this. It's got some cracking in it, it's not too bad. My plan of attack here is to cut it right through the middle. Right, so we're going to cut this completely in half. And then we're going to turn the two halves inwards. This face, or that face, facing that face, and stand them up. And then cut them down all the way into inch boards. And that's what I'm doing with that. Have I run the metal detector over it? Yeah. Did I get anything back from it? No. So I pray with a brand new blade. Once we've cut this, we'll take that blade back off and we'll put the older blade back on to cut up the cants. But I want to cut this as finely as I can because it saves me on timber. It also saves it when it goes through the planer. So let's cut this and stack it. I can hear that cracking as I'm cutting it. And even something as big as that has cupped. Anyway, always exciting this bit because it's the great reveal. It's where we can get to see the grain and understand. I don't know how heavy this is. Now you'll see when I turn this over, the cracking in the cant It's really superficial. You know, this happens almost every time I put a new blade on. That's done what? 5 cuts? Nail. Metal detectors it, nothing. And nail. Now the blade's no good. Wrecked. That's all I've managed to cut. Bearing in mind, 2 of those is 1 cut, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts. 5 cuts in. Nail. This is where it was cutting before. See that? Reasonable. That's how it cuts now. No good. Look at that. That's a brand new blade done. Now I can sharpen it, but it'll never cut like that again. Even if I go round and find the teeth and straighten the teeth. You know, why is the metal detector not picking that up? Why is the metal detector not picking that up? And you can see how far that's in. You know, that nail's in there over 100 years ago. We're right in the middle of that tree. What we're looking for more than anything is that. That's exactly what we're looking for. So there's our point of impact. You can see the teeth, the curly steel there. Look. Can we see the bend in the blade? In the teeth? Yeah, maybe I can. Let me go and get my teeth straightener. Maybe I can do something about that now. You never see that. I'm so pleased the amount of times that's happened. Right, maybe we can save this blade because we can see where it hit. Good. Right, do our investigation. Well, I've just had a little dig in here. That was the head of the nail. Right, that's gone. There's no metal in there at all. So if this is the outer edge of the cant and it's been cut, this was put in the tree between 80 and 90 years ago. So let's hope the steel's not too bad, and it's kind of interesting, it's curled up. What did I bring out with me? Well, I've got my tooth sharpening tool. I've got a very fine flathead file and a straight edge. I've got my nail bar, a hammer, a hook pair of pliers and a chisel. And we're not quite sure yet what this is, or how big it is, or where it goes, or even if we can pull it out. It's not that soft, so since I'm quite sure it was the head, I think we should be able to extract that. There we go. Okay, fortunately it was just quite a fine small nail. On the blade, which is here. So I don't know if I can identify exactly where the hit started. There. Yeah. And I can tell the feel of the teeth. Actually, I'd say the initial hit was that one. Right. There. To there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 teeth affected. Okay. So I'm going to attempt to correct this blade whilst it's on the saw and under tension, because it's in a straight line. So if I mark this tooth here, do I know what I'm doing? No, not really. Have I done this before? Yeah, but always taking it off the machine. If I mark that tooth there and then that tooth there, can I see some damage on that one? Let's mark it to there. And that gives us our area from here to here. But now it's in the middle there, it's completely straight, which means when I put a flat edge across the teeth, I'm going to be able to see the teeth that are bent, and I'll be able to straighten them. And then rather than try and sharpen the face of the tooth, I'm going to run my file across the back to take off any burrs and just put a very fine point back on there. Yeah, that's very sharp, that is. Okay, we've gone through the nail by then. Yeah, to there. Put your pencil back in your pocket, Simon. So we use our straight edge to identify any teeth that are really bent upwards by putting this along the front edge of the teeth. And if any of the teeth are really bent upwards, and they're more likely to be bent upwards and downwards, right, this will show me. And then if that's the case, I use this tool to put over the tooth like that, depending on the thickness, when I find the right thickness. There. Then what I'll do is I'll put that on the tooth like that, and I'll be able to bend that tooth in whatever direction I want. There's your bent teeth. That one. I can rock that in both directions. That's your bent one. And not only is it bent, it's got a burr underneath it. So let's take that burr off first, underneath this one. You can see it catching my finger. Right, we'll take that burr off first and then we'll see if it's bent. Now let's see if there's any evidence of a bent. No, see, that was that burr. Not even a bent tooth, just a burr on the tooth. And then we'll try it on the top, right on the very edge of the teeth, and see if it rocks. And it doesn't. So all those teeth now are completely in line and straight. So that was a very light steel pin more than a nail. We can move that along. This is the end of our impact area here. So we can run this all the way along. No rocking. No rocking. So we got away with that lightly. I'm quite fascinated. I've never done that before like that. I'm quite fascinated to see whether that's worked. I can tell by the way it is, it ain't as good as it was. So we'll have a look at this and see. So this is how it was cutting, and then after now that's how it was cutting. And now we'll see what it's cutting like. No different. Yeah. Yeah. It's not worked. It's still cutting as badly as it was before. Well, that surprises me. I'll take another look at the blade, but you can tell because it starts doing this, the saw starts to wobble left to right. Well, if it wasn't destroyed now before, it is now. Right there, somewhere in there is another nail. And the blade is completely destroyed. Brand new blade, done. Can I bring it back under sharpening? Ah, but it's another new blade. Look at that. It's right in the heart of the tree. I still don't understand why I got no pings. This is just devastating. Really devastating. See if I can get that one out. Now you can see as I was digging down in there following this nail, once again, why wasn't it picked up by the metal detector? I don't know, did I have the settings wrong? Was I not paying attention? I don't know. But as I'm digging down in there, I find another piece of steel in there. Firewood. What a shame. What a shame. Why am I even wasting my time on wood that can potentially have nails? Well, it come from the church, so it shouldn't have. And secondly, I metal detected it. Resources. It all boils down to resources at the end of the day. Where can I get birch this? Well, I can't. You know, most of the birch is small and you got anyway. It's just not that easy. So anyway, how bad a deal is it? Well, it's the same as getting a puncture in your car, really, but it's just cheaper. You know, the inconvenience is the same. The length of time, it's less because I haven't got to drive to the garage and do it. The overall cost, less. Am I going to put the old blade on? No, I'm not. I'll tell you why. Because I've hit that blade now, and that's that. So I've decided to sharpen it. Do a first sharpen on it, cut the rest of that up. That way, in case I hit anything else, I don't know what I've done. Anyway, in case I hit anything else, then there's a whole blade destroyed. And it is really. Anyway, I'll show you what we're doing. So for my older subscribers, you'd have seen this before, but I've got a lot of new ones. Work my way in between my worm farms. This is my automatic blade sharpener. So I started on the join there. I'm going to go all the way around. So we're going to wait for this to sharpen. It won't take long. How are me worms doing, you might ask? Well, this is now my breeding bin, and whilst you'll get some breeding going on, this is my carrying on bin. But we're about done for the end of the year now. So there's some breeding going on. There's a lot of breeding going on. So that's that bin, and then this bin, I put a lot of eggs in here. So you can see they're doing all right. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to grab a quick. We're going to, have I fixed that window? No. We're going to grab a quick coffee while this is sharpening, and we're going to put this back on, cut the rest of that up. It's just, yeah. So here we go. A nice sharpened new blade. Well, sharpened blade. Will it cut better than it did? Yeah. Will it cut perfectly? No. It will never cut perfectly again. Why won't it cut perfectly again? I don't know. So, this is not my first radio. This is my first home type, small, cheap bandsaw. But I've owned many saws, huge resaws, logging saws, all kinds of heavy machinery, industrial machinery in my former life. I've never had anything cheap like this. Now, as I've said before with my Woodland mill saw, you get what you pay for. Right? It's the best of the quality of the cheap ones. It ain't a wood miser. But how many times can you sharpen the blade? Don't matter. I'll tell you why it don't matter. Because Woodland mills sell their own brand of band saws, the blades, and they're cheap, and you buy them in packs of 10. And so the metal's cheap, the steel's cheap, the machine is cheap. They'll snap before you get more than 4 sharpens on them. So they say you should sharpen these after every 2 hours of use. So that'll give you an idea. Very, 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 very rarely will you get a blade cut for more than 8 hours without snapping. No matter how many times you sharpen it, it will snap. And it don't matter on the temperature, summer or winter. Well, they snap more. They snap more in the cooler temperatures. But yeah. So it don't matter how many times you could sharpen it, you'll never get that number of sharpens in it. I've seen a lot of other owners of this particular sawmill with all manner of problems that they have. I had the similar problems, but I've resolved the problems as I've gone along. But blade life? No. Best thing you can do for your Woodland mill sawmill is buy quality blades. That's the best thing you can do. That don't sound very good. Anyway, let's run it. So if I say, I reckon there's 300 hours on this, and you can't get more than 8 hours of cutting per blade, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes 5 hours, you can see how many blades you need. Will a good blade last much longer? Yep. Yeah, the blades are cheap. They do the job. They do the job. But I've never had a machine that's done blades like this. I've had resaws, blades, 15, 20, 25 years old. But this, no. So just to clarify, I'm really happy with the sawmill for the price that it costs and for the versatility of it. But the blades, yeah, buy decent blades if you can afford it. That's like cutting with a new blade again. So let's show you the difference. Show you what a sharpen does. So that's what it was cutting like before. And that's what it's cutting like now. Before, now. We'll see the difference. Better over here against the really bad cut. So that was after we hit the nail. That's after a sharpen. So we're not back to new, but it makes a huge difference. In addition to that, it's easier to push. And it stops the wobble on the machine, so it's much better to sharpen the blades regularly, albeit you can't get many sharpens out of them. Maybe I'm just contradicting myself. What are they? 6 inch by 1 inch. They're 11 feet, 6 inch by 1 inch birch, which in, what's that, 3.3 metres long, 160 wide, 25 thick, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26 boards. I don't know what the value of that is, but it's considerably more than a sharpen on a blade. That's where I am with that. Right, so that concludes now all the birch cut up for the joinery work I'm going to be doing through the winter. That's got to go inside and be dried. I need some weight on top of that. Now we're going to go and get some small cants and quarter saw those up, maybe even half saw some of them, to get them inside, and that they would be cabinet framing and stuff that I need behind the scenes for the joinery work and stuff I'm going to be working on during the winter. So all of these are around 3 metres, 10 feet, all short stuff. And I'm going to need some stuff for making cabinets, and I'm also going to put in some new benches in the workshop, which has been untouched. I've never built anything inside the workshop itself at all the factory. I haven't altered anything. So some of this is going for cabinet bases in the kitchen, some of it's going for cabinet bases in the office, and then I need some worktops. So some of these I'm going to half saw, some I'm going to quarter saw, some I'm going to board into 2-inch slabs. But I'm going to saw all of this lot up to go inside for the winter projects. Quick explanation of what I'm going to do. I'm cutting these into 40mm 1.5-inch slabs, but this is just over 2 slabs left, so I'm going to unclip it and turn it over, cut the excess off the top, then whip it in half. It's the cleanest, easiest way of turning what's left into 2 nice boards. I went to move the camera obviously for that last shot, and I don't think it was recording. I think you missed an hour. Anyway, there you go, one of those things. Right, let's have a little look at what we've got. What we have got now, we've got some room in here. So will this big pack on the machine here fit on top of those cants? Yeah, close, real close, but it will, which means I have a whole empty bay there. Right, what have we got behind me? Right, this is what we cut up. So we've got a lot of inch boards at the bottom, which is all birch, and then we've got fair boards, it's like fair balls, and we've got some halves, and we've got some quarters, and we've got some more boards on top of different thicknesses. So we've got enough there. That's a good start, is what I'm saying. That's certainly not enough for the winter, but it's a good start. Do I want to cut up any of these big cants? No, I don't. And I have got more lumber in this shed and this shed that I can pull from to complete what I'm doing. But that's all the cants I've got left. This is 4, 8, 12, 24, 30. There's about 34 cants left. So I don't want to cut all of those, and some of those are not. So let's say there's 30 cants in there. I don't want to cut those. So that was a purely Woodland Mills day today. On an interesting note, a friend of ours just came round. But since this nighttime visitor, Casper's been on edge. He's quite sensitive like that. Do you know what's interesting? And it's interesting for several different reasons. I've had lots of dogs, right? Different types of dogs. And it's interesting for different reasons. I've had a few different types of dogs, different types of breeds over the years. I never had one like Casper. You know, more of a teddy bear. I've always had, I guess, more working dogs. Is he a working dog? Oh yeah. Is he more capable in the forest than any dog I've ever companioned? Yeah, he is. Way more. Is he more suitable to the Arctic climate than any dog I've ever been companioned with? Yeah, he is. He's not what you'd call, he's not a fighter. He's definitely a guard dog. He'd definitely tell you when everybody's about. He's not a fighting dog. And he's not a biting dog. He's a talkative, loud, observant, for a free dog, well trained, I have to say. I think he is. Anyway, he's on alert the whole time. He's on alert. I'll show you what I mean. So I've just turned the camera around. If we look here, he is looking and listening and sniffing all the time. A large focus is over there, of course, which within another few minutes is where our nighttime visitor would have emerged from. Anyway, so that's it. That's a day of machining on the Woodland Mills. We got some timber cut up and ready to go in. This will serve us well going through the winter. We need more, but I don't want to cut up any more of the cants I've got there. And they're nice and dry. They've been sat a year. They're lovely, they are. They're really nice. Do they cut straight? You know, that's an interesting question, right? Do they stay straighter for sitting a year? Or is it better to cut and stick? I don't know. I think the answer to that is do what suits you the best, I think. I like to board and stick, but I can't always do that. There isn't enough time. One day there'll be enough time, and then I can get the cants in and I'll get the logs in and cant them and then board them up and stick them. But, you know, it's easier to store cants than lumber. That I will tell you. It's easier to move them around. And of course, with this new building, there'll be a lot less moving around because I should be able to put them in there. And, you know, next year, once this plastic's off and it's boarded all round and it's got a nice airflow, you should be able to put stuff in there and leave it there. Anyway. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining me today. If you like the content, don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. Don't cost you anything. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.